Hello and welcome back to Chespel. Today we'll be starting our series on faction breakdowns. We'll be going over each of our 10 factions in these videos and going over what the faction is, its background and history, what units make up the faction, and then doing a brief battle with the faction to show you how they move, and then also just a reminder of how to play Chespel. In this one, we'll be starting out with Hailgalad. So Hailgalad is a cavalry nation of tribal herdsmen that have formed their own kingdom. So for more information on the factions, you can go to this Factions tab. And here we start out with Hailgalad. Now Hailgalad's the main faction of my world, which is also called Hailgalad because my first book series, of which I've drafted 3 novels so far that aren't out yet, they're all based on this world of Hailgalad and the leaders. So when you're here, you can go to our lore book, which is all written by me as I've been building out this world and writing my books. I have the lore book. Another thing to note is you can go to Hailgalad.com, and Hailgalad.com will actually give you much more information on each of the factions, cities, peoples, everything. So you can check that out as well. But the Kingdom of Hailgalad at one time was ruled by the Vaelorian Empire, and so they had taken over Hailgalad, and it was a vassal state for them. But Hailgalad ended up rising up and gaining their independence. And so, as I said, if you're looking for cavalry, if you're looking for quick units, Hailgalad's the place for you to go. Now, each faction is led into battle with a general, and the whole premise of the game is to destroy the enemy general. And so, Hailgalad's general is Baldric Bear Rider. Much as you might think from his name, he rides a bear into battle. He uses this. He's in the books that I'm writing, and he uses magic to connect with his bear. And so you can see here that his special ability is to originally for each general has a special ability, and his base special ability is that all adjacent cavalry units get +1 attack and +1 movement. And so this is big for if you want to move out your cavalry, and so they get 1 more movement on the board and another attack. So he's a great command piece to have on the board. Along with him, his lieutenant, so each faction has a lieutenant, kind of a second command, typically the second strongest unit on the battlefield. Hereta is the banner knight, and she is the right hand knight of Baldric, and she has the duelist ability, which this makes her a pretty devastating attacker against generals and lieutenants because she deals 2 health points of damage when she lands a hit rather than the typical 1. Then we have the artillery, the war chariot for this one, a very versatile artillery. Again, each faction does have an artillery. The multi-shot is the special ability for the war chariot, and they can attack twice per turn. So that's big on versatility on the battlefield. Then joining them on the battlefield are heavy royal cavalry, scout cavalry, spear infantry, archers, and the mages of Ariandel. Now, Ariandel is the deity, the patron deity of the Hailgaladrian people, part of the divine order of deities, and so that is the patron that the mages of this land pull from to cast their magic. Now, regular units don't have special abilities because they can have equipment cards given to them, and so here we have stirrups to help with the troops, with the cavalry to boost their attack and movement, javelins, which actually give the spear infantry a ranged attack. You can give a tome of fireball, you can give that to the mage of Ariandel, and that when they make an attack on an enemy, it hits all adjacent enemies, so it's kind of an AoE, a big powerful attack that you can give your mage. Silver lances for the cavalry, plate armor for infantry, the blessed arrows we can give to archers to bolster them, and then each faction has a a general upgrade. And so this upgrade comes in after the 4th turn. So we'll see when we get into a game, but you have a deck of cards, which all these units, equipment, action cards get shuffled in. And this gets shuffled in after the 4th turn, just to make sure no one gets it right away, because some of the general abilities are pretty substantial, and so don't want that right away. So for Baldric's, as he dismounts Garnothred, which is his bear, and they become 2 units instead of 1. And Baldric is still the general, and so still the target, but this bear is able to is like almost a 2nd lieutenant on the battlefield. So that's a pretty powerful way to go. Then action cards, you can use an action card instead of having an equipment card or bringing a unit on the battlefield. And these are really pivotal things to put on to change the course of the game. And so this action card is a Stampede, and so it allows you to attack with 2 cavalry units on the turn. And so originally you're only supposed to be able to use 1 unit per turn, move and attack with. This kind of opens it up for you. So if you need to really blitz out and attack an enemy quickly, that's a great card to keep. The cavalry charge, which gives you just a +2 attack. If you want to shore up that you're going to make an attack and do damage, that's 1. And then the advanced maneuvers, which allows your units to move diagonally, which is very helpful on the battlefield to increase your movement. So this is the faction of Hailgalad. Now we'll get into a game. So in order to get into a game with a particular faction, you can usually press play now, which just gives you a random unit or random faction to play as. But here we're going to, you see here that you can build your own deck. So between the 10 factions, you can build any deck that you want using any of the generals, units, equipment cards, and so that's more for advanced play. But here we've got Hailgalad, and we'll deploy our forces. And so we get put on a random map as well. Here it's the river crossing, so you can see there's only 2 choke points. It's kind of a choke point battle. When you get onto the board, you get this development zone, and so you get your general, your lieutenant, your artillery, and then 1 random unit. We got the heavy royal cavalry here on this back row, and you can kind of move them around whatever way you want, and then press deploy when you're ready, and you get your cards. And so here, the downpour, and so the maps, you can see that the maps have different effects, and so this one is a downpour, and so we get negative defense on our when the rain's coming down, and so there's rain periodically. There's a % chance for it to happen. Here we'll use the Stampede and to move to attack with 2 units in this turn. So you can see we put a unit up to the point of where the general is. So if the general's up here, we could put the units anywhere around here. We can only put on this back row. So what I'm going to do is just use the Stampede to show you the action cards, and see we can now move 2. And so this helps us kind of blitz forward with our units. And then we are playing the Kabutians, which will come in a later faction breakdown, and this is the mountain folk. We'll just do a few turns here to show you how. And now that we moved our general up, you can see we can now place our units back, and we can start pushing forward. And so I'll push my general up to this defensive position. It's actually a fortification, so I get +2 defense per turn. And then I'll be able to now attack. So I got my heavy royal cavalry, and when you attack, it's your unit's attack. So you can see on the left here we have a breakdown of all the stats, and so our base attack is 4, their base defense is 1, and then each side rolls a d4 die, and so there's a pretty good chance, you can see here, a 94% chance that we'll actually hit them. And so you see the rolls go out, and it kind of adds up, and that's where everything stacks. If you have 2 units right next to each other, they get a +1 defense bonus. You can see this little shield in the corner. Also, if you're flanking a unit, you'll see it come up that you can get a +1 attack bonus. I think we might have an opportunity to show you that here. So now they've attacked my general, and I've lost a health. So now, if I go down to 0 health, I lose the game. And so normally we would push back, but in the meantime, I'll use my action card Shield Row. So this is one of the generic action cards that all units have, or all factions have. And now you see this guy's flanked, and so when we attack him, we actually get a +2 for each flank. So it's us, and then 1, 2. So we get +2. And so it's a guaranteed hit. And so when we roll, we hit him. And that's pretty much how it goes until someone wins. We play unit cards and push your units forward, equipment cards to bolster their stats, position your units around, use action cards and general upgrades to master the battlefield. So I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you found Chespel kind of intriguing to check out. One thing to note is that you can play against a computer. You can play online against a friend. You can make a room code in case you want to just do the room. You can do a tournament, as well as you can make just tournaments ad hoc as well. So you can see here, you can just create one. So if you and your friends want to do a tournament, and then we have a lot more game modes in here. We have a survival mode, fog of war, 4-player battles. I basically wanted to try and come up with a bunch of different ways to play this concept. But for now, my main focus is on the 1v1. So again, hopefully you found this faction breakdown of Hailgalad interesting, and I hope to see you out on the Chespel battlefield.